Okay, guys, I am here with Saira Pearl from momresource.com. How are you, Saira?
Great, thanks, Jenny.
Very good. I'm so excited to have you here. Saira, I really wanted to, what I like to do is I just want to try to get a feel so that my audience can get to know you a little bit. Can you give us just a background of yourself? What did you do beforehand, before blogging and becoming an entrepreneur? And then also tell us a little bit about your site and what you do now.
Okay, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm a mom. I've got two little girls. And before becoming a mom, I worked in corporate big business for a big bank. And that was great. And then I became a mom, and I just didn't like the idea of leaving my little baby alone or without me. And so I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of us moms is we decide I need to spend more time at home, but I still want to work and I love working, but I can't kind of make it work around my schedule. So that's kind of how I got there. I mean, I took a long, convoluted road to blogging. I was trying this and that and the other and listening to all kinds of different, mostly men, podcasters and experts. And I was trying to copy what they were doing and I was trying to game the system and none of that worked at all. So I just started Mom Resource, which is my blog now, which was kind of an experiment like, hey, let me see if I can make anything work. And then if I can, I'll let you know. And even that has been on and off. I enjoy it. I love it. And it gives me all the time and flexibility with my kids. But I really haven't made a lot of money from it until I would say the end of last year. And I kind of, well, I guess it was the year before. I kind of was able to start following a little bit more of the women online, like you, Ruth, Suka. I mean, women who are talking what, my language, and
Yes.
that made a difference. And for me, the biggest thing that I found at first was Twitter. So I've kind of been running down that road and dragging people with me. That was the first way that I was actually making money so that I could afford to actually call this a business.
Yes. And I'm super excited to dive right into a little bit more about Twitter. But before we get into that, how long have you had your site for?
Oh my gosh. I think like 4 years.
Okay. And how long would you say it took you to, because for me, at least, and a lot of the guests that I've had on, they start off as hobby bloggers, not really knowing how to monetize and how to take it as a business. So when do you think that switch, kind of you made that switch over?
You know what? I did it the other way. I went full force, like, this is going to be a business. If I can't make
Okay.
this my job, then I have to get a job. Like, I have to go back to work because I'm on maternity leave. Yes. I mean, in the meantime, we had another baby. So it was like, okay, I'm kind of doing this and this. But the goal was to turn it into a business. And so really the thing that changed for me was EBA. I know we've talked about this before, but I joined Elite Blog Academy in September 2015. And it was like a plan. It was a business plan. Like here, even I wish I had started that earlier. And I think the luckiest people are the people with no blog who just go start there because you don't have to unlearn all your bad behavior and you don't have to waste all the time and energy on things that you have to go back and fix. So that was like a light bulb going off because now I had a plan to follow. And because I had all this content, she gave me some quick, you jump right into the monetization chapter, even though you're not supposed to.
Yes.
So I had some quick wins to like, oh, I can put, make this profitable and make this profitable. So I do a lot with them now. I joined her mastermind group and I'm like, all my eggs are in that basket because she is so smart and she's literally training other people to make thousands of dollars from their blogs, like not blogging about blogging, like literally from their blogs about whatever.
Yes.
So to me, that was when it all changed.
Absolutely. That's fabulous. And I love the way that you talk about how you have all this content already, because I think so many of us end up with so much content that we have to go back and fix everything. You're right. Like I've said many times, and I'm the type of person where I like a clean slate. So for me, I'd like to just start over. And I think that was part of the reason why I started the second site with Jenny Melrose, because I was like, I'm not going to do anything that I had done incorrectly with the Melrose family. And I'll go back and I'll fix the Melrose family, but I want to move forward and have everything done with the way that I've learned to do things correctly. So I love that you brought that up. Now, what would you say is the toughest part about being an entrepreneur?
Well, being an entrepreneur, I guess even blogging, it's just kind of isolating. Like I've really spent a lot of time joining communities now, and I'm trying to talk to people that way. You know, you and I chat, we try to chat once a week, and I have these other groups of women that I talk to, because otherwise you're just, before I started meeting other people and talking to other people, mainly through Facebook groups, I was by myself, and I was trying to figure it all out and make it all work, and it was very frustrating and lonely. So that was the worst.
Yes. No, I totally agree. I think that was a large part of the reason why I decided to create the master's program, where we do the weekly Skype meetings, and we're able to get on and do Facebook Live. Because for me, that was where it made a difference, the networking and really getting to know people better, to kind of pick their brains about what's working, what's not, and how you always can add something to the conversation, because we have different experience, I think, is the biggest thing. For sure. So now, how long?
Our little chats, like just the 15 minutes that we chat a week, I get so much out of that. I call you my coach. I'm like, I talked to my coach today. It's great. I love it.
Oh, thank you so much. I honestly, it's one of my favorite things that I look forward to, because I do have those office hours, and it's part of my day that I look forward to, because it is I get a new person, and it's quick and it's easy, and I can give you that swift kick in the behind that you need to move forward and hold you accountable. Because a lot of times I think it's also the ability to be held accountable for our actions, and making sure that we're getting done all that we have on our to-do list, as well as taking care of our families and our children and everything that goes along with that.
That's why I love working with moms too, because moms always understand somebody's sick, or there's some drama, or something broke, or moms get it. We're not dealing with some boss who's completely unsympathetic. I don't want to hear your problems. We're just like, yep, no problem. Yeah, let's postpone. No big deal. No drama. No guilt. It's great.
Yes. No, absolutely. There is no way I could run my business with people that didn't understand that. And I think if they don't understand that, and I think I've had clients that definitely have left my program because they feel like I am a mom, and the kids sometimes can definitely scream from upstairs that they went to the bathroom and need help with a 3-year-old. So it's definitely you have to be able to understand that and know where you are in your business and understand the people that you're working with. So yes, for sure. So now let's dive right into Twitter. How long have you been on Twitter, and how long would you say it took you to grow your following there? Well, first let's start with, how many followers do you have on Twitter, would you say right now?
I'm this close to 30,000 followers. I'm trying to get to the other side of that. And I've kind of half-heartedly been doing it lately, because I've automated a lot of it. So it kind of runs itself. So I have to remind myself, get in there and get your numbers up. But it's almost 30,000. And I see some people some moms with 90, 100,000. And I just think, wow, but I'm happy with where I am. It's great.
Yes. So how long have you been there for?
Well, it's funny, because it was EBA happened around the same time. So it was kind of the last quarter of 2015. And you know why? Because that was the end. I was either going to do something with this blog by the end of the year, or I was out. So I was going in every direction. Okay, I'm going to take this course. I'm going to try to grow my following. That was it. If I can't do it by the end of the year, I'm done. So with Twitter, I started to find a lot of followers, and my community noticed. So I was getting questions from my audience hey, I noticed you've got all these followers now. So I think I got up to about 5, 6, 7, 8,000 followers, and then I started to get paid. Then I couldn't believe it, because I'm getting paid to send a few tweets. Blog Her will pay you $50 or $100 to send a handful of tweets, even pre-written. So all you have to do is just copy and paste the tweet, and then take your check and cash it at the bank. Really? This is really happening. So then I just really, really, really felt like Twitter is a place that you can find thousands of people in any niche that you want. And that is unlike Pinterest and Facebook. And I wasn't able to literally go on any single topic you want. You can find thousands and thousands of people because they've already told you that that's what they're interested in. And as a blogger without much income, I couldn't really afford Facebook ads, and I couldn't find people on Pinterest. I mean, I could look for articles, but not actually connecting with people. Twitter was the first place where I was like, wow, I'm meeting people in a specific niche, whatever it is. And that was a game changer.
So you talk about finding people in the same niche. How do you go about doing that? So let's talk to someone as if they don't understand Twitter at all, because honestly, I feel like there's a lot of my audience that doesn't, because I didn't until I took you have it's not a course, but it was that document that had everything in it. And I think I paid I don't even know what it was, like $30 for it. And within weeks, not even weeks, it was probably within 2 weeks, I saw hundreds of new followers from the strategies that you taught in that document. So we'll make sure that we link to the document in the show notes. But tell us some of the strategies that you use. How do you go about finding people?
So it's crazy. It's so easy. I mean, basically, the hashtags, everything in Twitter, hashtag this, hashtag that. Well, you can, on the top of the screen, there's a little search bar, and you can search for any hashtag you want. You can search for clean eating. You can search for vegans. You can search for fitness, mom bloggers, anything you want. Just hashtag it and see. Then it shows you who comes up. It shows you people. It shows you tweets. So then this is what I like to do. You go in and you find someone who is your target, whatever niche you're interested in. So you find somebody, you don't necessarily want to follow them. You want to follow the people who are following them. So if there's a bunch of people following you, they're interested in what you're talking about. So I would go follow them. Or I could see what lists you're on. Twitter has this amazing little feature called lists, and you can, I show you how to do it, but you just basically see it's like next to the number of followers, and then it'll say lists, and then 3 or 4 or 20. And you click on that and you can see how many lists has this person created themselves, if they've created one, or how many lists has someone else put them on. So you're probably in hundreds of lists that you have no idea. And you can scroll through the lists, somebody else has created these lists, and find dog lovers, parents, gardening, I mean, any kind of topic you want. And then you're going to see hundreds of people on Twitter who are in this list who are all interested in the exact same topic. So I know it seems crazy, but they're self-selecting. I like this, I like that, I'm this, I'm that. And so you can search and find all these people who are interested in whatever you're talking about. And I use it for affiliate promotions. I use it for pay-per-click, like sponsored posts. I use it for email opt-ins to my freebies. And it's about moving that relationship onto your blog or into your email list, but it's meeting them. It's a way to meet people whoever you're looking for in whatever industry, you can find them and meet them on Twitter.
So now, can I find a list that people have me listed on, or can I only see what the other people, like if I go to their page and I see where they are?
No, you can see what list you're on. It's got 2 different tabs. One is for member of and subscribe to. So you can see who's put you on a list, and you're probably on tons and tons and tons of lists and you have no idea.
But they've pretty much then done the work for me, because I can look at that. See, now this is the aspect that I haven't gone into. I did the other strategy that you talked about, where you talked about going to finding someone that's in your niche. So for me, like I was trying to grow the Jenny Melrose Twitter because it's relatively new. So I was looking for influencers, or I was also looking at people that were talking about business, entrepreneurs, things of that nature. So I went and I found a couple, someone like Melissa Griffin or someone like a Caitlin Batcher. And I went and I looked to see their followers, went through to see if any of their followers would be interested in my content, and then followed them. And of course, your strategy worked. Hundreds of new Twitter followers later. And I'm getting a ton more engagement as well. And I can tell, like, the times when I actually go on and do that and go through and retweet and I am physically there, that's when I gain all the new followers and I have people coming and interacting with me, where in the past I never had that.
Yeah, and you can automate a lot of that too. You can automate retweets. You can automate welcome tweets to new followers. And I like to say, I like to say that kind of thing is just a way to maximize your time, because you're just basically throwing a lot of bait in the water and then you've seen who comes to bite. So if people reply, they're already interested in what you're saying. So then you can have a chat with them, but you don't have to be on Twitter all the time tweeting every single person. I mean, you couldn't do that. So it's a way to maximize your time and just talk to the people who are interested in talking to you. And it's like you're just finding people who are going to gravitate towards you, and then moving that relationship to your blog or their blog or whatever they're working on. You help them. It's great.
So now, how specific do the hashtags do you think have to be? I feel like with Instagram, hashtags are very specific, but with Twitter, are they as specific, would you say?
There's just a lot of choice. I mean, one way to do it is with the search bar, when you put something in there and then you see your results of who's mentioning that hashtag, you can then look at another. They might use 3 or 4 hashtags. So then you can click on a different hashtag and then see what they're talking about. There's a website, I think it's called Hashtagify. And if you type in the hashtag, it does you this little diagram of related hashtags to that hashtag. So it's a nice way to quickly come up with other ideas. But it's not something you need to do regularly. I like to do it when I'm promoting something, because then I want to show up in that search result. Yes. So I want to use relevant hashtags, but you don't need to use them all the time. It's not like Instagram where nobody will see it if you don't say it. The more relevant way to go in Twitter is to use the individual person's Twitter handle. So if I were to say @JennyMelrose, then you are going to see that in your feed. And that's what I want. I want you to see what I'm saying, not everyone in Twitter world, because 99% of them are irrelevant and it goes so fast. But if I send you a note, even if it's tomorrow when you look in, you'll see it in your notifications tab. So that's a better way to talk to people.
Okay. That makes total sense. So now, one of the questions that I have for you then, and this might kind of goes into working with brands. So Cart is open right now when this recording is airing. And one of the strategies that I teach in there is in order to get that golden ticket, the email address to reach out to a brand, is I talk about going onto Twitter and putting out a tweet and then retweeting it. Would it make more sense then, instead of just putting out a random tweet that kind of like promotes that brand? So let's say, for example, I was trying to get in with a salad dressing and I put out a tweet, oh, my chicken wraps are perfect with the salad brand. Or would it make more sense to tag the salad brand first so the tweet only goes to them? Do you see what I'm saying? So should I try to talk to them directly, or should I just put out a tweet which then gets retweeted and attracts their attention for them to follow me?
I think both. You should include their Twitter handle in your tweet, because now they see it and then they can track it. And the other thing that because I'm in your course now, and I'm kind of experimenting with this whole thing, and it's been super helpful. So one thing that I'm toying with are the big brands that I want to work with. I'm retweeting for them already. Like, I haven't even pitched them or anything, but I kind of want to show up on their radar. And because I have a big following, even if you don't, once you start building your following, you will show up in their analytics, because if you go to your Twitter analytics, you can see who are your top retweeters and your top tweets of the month. So even prior to me pitching them, I'm kind of paving the way to say, hey, look at what I've managed to. And then if they say no, great, I don't need to spend my time helping them out anymore. But it's kind of to show them, like, I'm already working with you. Let's make it formal. I don't know if it's going to work, but
I love that strategy. That is fabulous. That makes so much sense too. So, okay, we've talked about a little bit about the tweets and things that you can put up as far as hashtags. What about your profile? Is there anything that you can do to show up? Because a lot of times, sometimes I see people that just have like those sentences that kind of describe what it is that they do. And then I see other people whose profile is just all hashtags. Is there one way that's better than the other?
I haven't found that it makes much of a difference. Okay. I think it's nice to use your picture. It's nice to use a little description. You want to make it obvious who you are. And then you can use that link to go to an opt-in or a specific landing page, which is a good use of that space. Even your header at the top, you can use it to promote a freebie, an opt-in that way. I like retweeting. I use this program called Round Team. It used to be much cheaper, but they've increased their prices. I think it's like $25 a month, so it's not great. But they will do a lot of retweeting, so you can specify who you want to retweet. And if you're retweeting like travel bloggers or foodies, then you tend to show up higher on the list of those topics. So if somebody's looking for someone in a search, you'll show up as somebody who talks a lot about that topic. So that's a nice way to associate yourself with a specific niche without, I think the bio stuff is good just on a glance, but I don't know how effective it is with it, in the Twitter, the big picture.
Right. Of being able to be found kind of in the search of Twitter. Okay. Because for me, when I am looking at people that I want to follow to kind of try to get me to follow back, I want some sort of description in there because I want to know what it is that they do. I don't necessarily want someone that is just, out there talking about newspapers or whatever it might be. I want someone that's in my target audience within my niche. So that makes sense. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, and I really don't spend a lot of time looking at, I think that activity, you should make it very quick. Like, you're not marrying them. It's not like Facebook where they're going to say, oh my gosh, she's going to see all my private information. I would just go right down the page. And unless you see somebody, that's very wrong, avoid them. But otherwise, make the most of your time and make it a quick in and out. Follow a handful of people, and then you don't need to worry too much about it. I mean, unless you're there, because you can go down that rabbit hole and you can spend hours on Twitter talking to people and chat. And that's like in the evening if you're feeling brain dead and you just want to. When I was nursing, like with my baby, I was like, I'm in the middle of the night. What are people talking about? So that was a nice way to kill time. But if you don't want to kill time, you got to be quick.
That's so funny that you brought that up because that's how my Google Plus, so not that Google Plus is anything anymore. I hope it someday becomes something. But that's where I spent all my time with my second daughter is I would be on my phone while we were nursing and I would be on Google Plus constantly. And that's how my following over there got huge. It's so funny that you said that. So you kind of mentioned a little bit of like how you're using Twitter to get paid, because let's be honest, we all want to be making income. We want to be making money from our time. So your return on investment for your time. So you talked about how BlogHer pays for just like a couple tweets. Are there any other ways to be making money from Twitter?
There are, and there's a few other networks that you can work with that will pay for tweets. And then I do a lot of affiliate promotion. Like when working with brands opens again, I'll probably get on Twitter and send some tweets out and just make sure, like specifically to people who I think could benefit from using your course, like, hey, jump into this webinar. And so that works well because you're giving them something for free. It's, no commitment, but you're promoting your campaign. And you're finding lots of people who are interested. And then I really like, there's a company called Linqia, which does sponsored posts, but they're pay per click.
Yes.
And you should not make any less than $500 on a Linqia campaign. I mean, you should, if you're going to spend your time and energy writing that blog post, I know you have to get your clicks to get paid. So the blog post to me is almost irrelevant. Like I do it, but I use Twitter to get all my clicks. And it's so easy and you should not be making $10, $20, $100 for a Linqia campaign. You should always be making more than $500. So that's a nice way to make money. And then the other thing is, I do have so the guide you were talking about, that's a subset of my full course. I launched my full course last year, and product launch to me is just overwhelming. I don't know how you do it so often. So I had to just close the doors and run away because I cannot be doing that all the time. So I'm going to open it again later this year. But in the meantime, I wrote the guide, which is just a shorter version and, no videos, just simple stuff that you can get now. So you don't have to wait for the full course to get the big bang. But one of my early students, I'm filming testimonials now for in advance of the launch. And she made $1,000 last month just doing Twitter parties. And I was just shocked, like, what? Yeah, she's just like an hour here and there, and she made more than $1,000.
Okay, so explain Twitter parties, because I know what they are, but I'm guaranteeing you there are people listening that have no idea what a Twitter party is.
It's so funny because when the first one I did, it was for the Cheesecake Factory, and they paid me $75 to just show up at their Twitter party as an influencer. So I think it was from 8 to 9 p.m. So my husband comes home from work and he's like, "You're going to be late for your party. Don't you have to go to the Cheesecake Factory?" I'm like, it's not that obvious. It's actually just on Twitter. Like, I just don't have to go anywhere.
Oh my God, love him. That is hysterical. Oh my goodness. Okay, so explain it for those that think that you're going to the Cheesecake Factory. You are not going anywhere but to your computer.
Yes, and it's usually for an hour, and they usually give away prizes. But basically, the brands will pay. They'll pay a host as kind of the moderator of the party, so they'll ask questions and give away prizes, and they'll also pay a handful of influencers just to go up, just to talk, to show up. So you might have to send a couple tweets ahead of time saying, "Hey, the party's coming at such and such time," and then during the party, you agree to be on Twitter answering the questions of the moderator and helping with the conversation. But literally, it's for an hour, and they pay you to show up.
And then it's
great.
Now, paying you to show up just to kind of interact is great. And then if you are someone running the Twitter party, it's like a whole nother level of compensation that we're talking about.
Yeah, and I know like Blog Herd, they do hire and pay hosts. And I know there are some people who run it all themselves. You asked what I'm going to do like later in the year. That's kind of the nut I'm trying to crack right now. It's really, for me, my goal is to help my audience make money. I mean, I can do as much as I can to help them, show them this is a great course, you'll learn this. But as far as paying people, I can't pay. I do the best I can. But I feel like with Twitter parties, I could actually pay people to work. Like, I could be the middleman, get the brand on board, organize everything, and actually pay people to show up. And I know that would be so helpful for so many who are struggling to find ways to make money. And so that's kind of my big plan, is hopefully I can find a way to make it happen. I don't know, but
yes, no, absolutely. So just to give a little bit of background, Saira is talking about, so working with brands in the course, there's a proposal piece. And I always tell everyone, pitch something that's out of the box. And if you have a large Twitter following like Saira does, that is a great way to go, because you can pitch the idea of doing a Twitter party for them, possibly just standalone, and sometimes even in while you're doing a post for them. It can be part of your promotions. So you're able to charge a little bit more as well. So I love that you went that route. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I would tell people, if you're worried about like, oh, my following isn't very big, you should just start keeping an eye on two things. One, your clout score. So you can go to klout.com, and they talk about they'll show you based on your Twitter following where you rank. And you might have a small following, but if they're super niche, you might be in the top 0.5% of a certain hashtag or a certain topic or a certain discussion. And you'd be surprised how that I've seen people even with location specific, like they're in their region, they're huge because they talk about local things. And so if you're a local business, it doesn't matter if they don't have thousands and thousands of followers. It matters that those followers are all in your area. And the other thing to look at under your analytics are your impressions. So you can see, even though my following is this big, look how far that goes in a month. Look how many eyeballs are seeing my tweets. And that's another thing that can be very impressive to help you talk about yourself and use that to work with brands.
So in the analytics is when you're talking about for the impressions. Is there anything else that you feel that if you're trying to pitch a brand, you should be letting them know, like average retweets, or what would you recommend?
I know people talk a lot about engagement, and I think that's good, but I think impressions are important for brands. It depends what they want to get out of it, but for a lot of brands, it's just like, it's like advertising in a magazine. You flip through the pages and you're not there to read the ads, but you see it as you go. So if you're getting your audience, to see their product, then as long as that's their intention, then you're doing what they want you to do. So that's impressions.
I am so excited about this because the more and more I'm thinking about this, I routinely get questions from students of working with brands about Twitter and why is it important and how is it that I'm supposed to go on there when everybody says that there's, I put out a tweet and it's gone within 20 seconds because it flies through. But everything that you're saying makes so much sense as far as the impressions and the retweets, the engagement, and how you're able to grow and then pitch that, because the brands do care about Twitter. They still definitely care about Twitter.
Yeah, and think about how many, trolls there are who just want to say bad things about, brands want people to say good things about them. So whether you're paid or not, I mean, if they see you as an ally, that's only going to benefit your brand.
Yes. Oh, I'm so excited about this. So, okay, let's talk about, and we kind of let you in on the fact that I was going to ask you this question in the beginning, your projections for 2017. So it's something I ask every one of my guests that come onto the podcast. So what do you see kind of taking off for the rest of the year?
Well, that's a good question. I wish I had a crystal ball. I feel like where I'm spending my time is I'm really promoting two things. I'm promoting working with brands because I feel like you make it so easy. You know what? I think I need things that make my life easy. So you make it very easy, step by step, do this, do this, do this. And I'm like, okay, I can do this. It's been broken down for me. And look at me. Look at what I'm coming up with. It's so brilliant because I have a plan.
Yes.
And EBA, that's another one that I do. And I actually run a giveaway where I pay for one student each time enrollment opens. I pay the full tuition for one person to get in for free. So I feel like that's my little way to give back. And then I'm hoping that this Twitter party thing, that's like everything working together. That's me loving Twitter and my course. I'm like training people to maximize their Twitter accounts, and so that they can make some money, so that they can, do all these other things with their brands and their business. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm hoping with the Twitter parties and the course and your course, like, we just have to make it very easy for everybody to get what they need.
So speaking of making things really easy, tell them about the download that you have for them today.
So I've got a new opt-in freebie. It's called 10,000 Followers in 10 Minutes a Day. So it's just a way to show you exactly, all this stuff can sound overwhelming, and I want to boil it down and make it very easy. Do this, do this, do this. And, you bought the guide, and this is kind of a subset of that, and it's totally free. So that's
absolutely fabulous. So guys, you can go to jennymelrose.com/podcast17 in order to get that download. Saira, I am so excited for this podcast. And now that it's out there, I am sure we're going to get tons of questions. For those that are not members of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Facebook group, Saira is in there and she will be answering questions, and I'll be in there as well. So if there's any questions that I didn't get to ask her, or there's something that you really want to know about Twitter that I missed, make sure that you get over into that Facebook group to ask her those questions. Saira, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me and my audience. I am just so excited about this. This was fabulous.
You're welcome. And you can find me on Mom Resource. A lot of my Twitter stuff is there. And then you can get on the waiting list for my next course. That's at twitterlegend.com. It's literally just a page to join the waiting list so that you can hear more about when it comes out later. Thank you, Jenny.
Of course. Thank you so much.